Good morning, everyone. It's good to be back with you again. I missed you all. I hope you missed me. Well, first of all, I want to thank Lynn for giving the announcements. You did a great job. And I also want to take a moment to thank Cindy Murray for all that she's done for our spiritual center throughout the years and all that she's doing now. And I talked with Cindy a few weeks ago about forming a team. I guess we'll call it a MC team. There's so many people coming forward and wanting to participate and to share and to serve and say, I can do that and I want to do that. And so in every area, we're at that place in our growth where those who have been doing it for some time are now kind of moving, we're exalting you. They're moving into this place of teacher and mentor and guide to help put together these teams so we can have more people participating. And Cindy is doing that with our MCs, and we're going to have a rotation. So you did a great job this morning, Lynn. And yes, well, let's give her a hand, shall we? But Cindy and I go way back, don't we? We've known each other for a long time. Kathy and I were just talking about, do you remember when her mother lived with us and you came and stayed with Leela for a while? Do you remember that? Well, we remember it. We appreciate it a lot. And but Cindy's been here from the very beginning, helping to put together the framework of this church and holding it together when we didn't have a minister, and now serving in a lot of different capacities. But I wanted to say that I really appreciate the way you gave the announcements, Lynn. Very clear and very concise. I appreciate that, don't you? Very clear and concise. I appreciate that. And another thing, I appreciate the little inspirations, the little tidbits at the beginning of our service. I remember a few weeks ago you talked about the word Amen, and then before that you talked about the word Namaste. Remember that? See? You had an effect on me. I remember that. Yes, I remember. But most of all, what Cindy's helped us with is how we welcome our visitors. And you've really put a lot of thought into that. And you have you help us to come across very open and welcoming as the kind of people we are. We're all about love and oneness, aren't we? And so we really truly are, I can't see you back in the back, we truly are honored to have you in our midst, and we hope that you're honored to be in our midst as well. So anyway, I just want to thank you. Let's give Cindy a round of applause. But I missed you, and I thought about you while I was away. I had thoughts about you, maybe just thoughts in passing, a thought about your smile, or a thought about your business, or a thought about something that you had said to me along the way. I had thoughts about you. I had feelings. I felt joy when I thought about your spiritual growth. I felt joy. I felt enthusiasm and excitement over intentions that you've set for your life. And I felt anticipation in seeing you again, as if there was something missing from my life. But were you missing from my life? Was I missing from your life? Each one of us is immersed in an infinite ocean of life energy in which we live and move and have our being. And this infinite ocean of light energy that most of us call God is without boundaries. It's not limited by space or time. It's not limited by physical laws or dimensions. So is anything ever really missing? Is anything ever really lost? Is anything or anyone ever really gone? Are we ever separated from one another, or are we somehow connected to one another and somehow always with one another? I was away physically, but I wasn't away in my heart. I wasn't away in my mind. That reminds me, we took a road trip up the California coast all the way to Mendocino County, and we took it upon ourselves to sample all the fish and chips along the way. And then we kind of just coasted back down the coast the same way we got up there. But at one point we were sitting out on the balcony of a hotel, and we were watching that beautiful sunset over the Pacific Ocean. Isn't that a glorious sight? And it was just at that time when that blazingly brilliant orange ball was beginning to melt. And that's when all those juicy colors of the deep purples and indigos and blues and reds begin to come out. And then as it begins to sink even deeper, that's when like melon colors come out and aquas and all sorts of amazing colors, you know what I'm saying? And then it just sinks down, and all you're left with is the twilight of the evening. And we sat there staring at that twilight as if we were remembering that brilliant, blazing orange ball. And it was such a peaceful, tranquil time. And then I, in my geekness, blurted out, "You know, the sun doesn't really go down." And she looked at me as if I had just spoiled the ending to a movie. And I continued to blabber and jabber, and I said, "Well, you know, the sun doesn't really set. The sun is stationary, and the Earth's rotation is just our position on the planet that makes it seem as if it's gone. But it's not really gone. It's still there. It's in a different position, unseen to our physical eyes." The master teacher Jesus said to his disciples, "And lo, I am with you every day, even unto the end of time." Now, when I was growing up, I was taught that this meant that Jesus, being God, was telling them not to be afraid, because he, with his supernatural powers, would somehow guide and guard and protect them. Two things about that. First of all, we are all made in the image and likeness of the divine. We are all a part of this infinite ocean of light energy we call God. Secondly, I hope that whenever you consider the words of Jesus, that you remember that he, as one of, if not the most evolved and enlightened spiritual masters that's ever walked the planet, was never coming from a place of ego. He was always teaching universal truth. It was never about him. I am with you. It was always about the truth about God that he had come to fully realize and explained over and over and over again in many, many different ways that anyone who has the slightest understanding of the interaction of body, mind, and spirit can comprehend. So, just looking at that sentence, the words of Jesus, what would be the universal truth that he was expressing? Could it be that he was talking about this energetic connection? Could it be that he was talking about this cosmic consciousness? How we're all a part of this cosmic consciousness, responding to one another on even subtle and imperceptible ways. Could it be that you are always with me, and that I am always with you? You might not see my blazingly brilliant orange sun. You might be looking up at the twilight of the evening and remembering, but I'm still there. Where? In your mind's eye, in your thoughts, and your feelings. As I've shared with you before, subatomic particles, when they're divided even by huge distances, still act as if they are somehow connected and respond to what goes on with them and between them as if they're still together in some unbroken wholeness. They maintain this instantaneous ability, as if they're still in touch with one another, no matter how wide the gap between them. And what is this connection? What is it that connects us? Our thoughts? Our feelings? This miraculous framework of vibrational energies that's within us? Thoughts and feelings are vibrational energies that go out from us, not only creating my life. My thoughts and feelings about you go out and have an effect on you. And your thoughts and feelings about me have an effect on me. Why? Because we're all connected. We're not separate. Karen Drucker has a song that says, I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens. Now, since thoughts and feelings are energy, and energy can't be destroyed, what happens to those thoughts and feelings of love that we send over the mountains to Kathy and Lorna in Mendocino County? What happens to the thoughts and feelings of love that we send to our winter visitors in Canada or in Michigan? What happens to the thoughts and feelings of love and joy that we send to John and Lynn, who live a couple blocks away from our spiritual center? Or the thoughts and feelings of love and joy we send way out to the foothills to Jody and Joseph? Energy cannot be destroyed, and those thoughts and feelings have an effect. So I want to ask you this morning, what if you took time out of your day to sit in your most comfortable chair in the quietest part of your day, whenever that is, in the morning or the afternoon or the evening, and thought about each person here? Just taking time just to think about their magnificence, to think about their perfection, to think about their brilliance, to think about their wholeness, to think about their love and their peace and their joy, their vitality, their abundance, their strength, their power. To take time to think about all of God expressing in and through and as all of them. You know what that's called? That's called prayer. That's what prayer is. Prayer is the intense, predominant attitude that our thoughts and our feelings are immersed in concerning something or someone that's important to us. That's prayer. The word prayer comes from the Sanskrit word palal, which means judging oneself as wondrously made. What that tells us is that, first of all, we have to know that we are wondrously made. We have to see and judge ourselves as wondrously made. We have to know and be convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt, just as Jesus was, that we are made in the image and the likeness of the divine. And you know, when you look outside yourself, there's plenty of things that make you think differently, aren't there? There are people and traditions and organizations that want us to believe that we are not perfect, whole, and complete, that we are unworthy, that we're incapable, that we're lacking somehow. But that's all a part of, what should I call it? It's all part of the surface mind, the virtual reality projector. But the truth is that there is a center deep within your being, a center of consciousness. And this true center of consciousness deep within your being is equipped, it's endowed with all that God is, all truth, all wisdom, all insight. It's endowed with all that God is, so much so that the surface mind, with its limited understanding, can't even comprehend it. And it's only when we go within that we remember who God is. It's only when we go within that we remember who we are. We remember. You know, when you're seeking to remember something, you do one of two things. You either close your eyes or you look up and away. Interestingly, a 2015 study found that closing your eyes works as a memory-enhancing tool. They found that participants were able to recall audio-visual details much more accurately when they closed their eyes. I close my eyes and I see that brilliantly blazing orange ball over the Pacific Ocean. It's still with me. It's still alive in my heart, in my mind. Another way that you remember is to look up. And when you look up, that is your body's automatic response to when you're seeking to uncover hidden information. When you do that, it causes the production of alpha waves. Alpha brain waves create a sense of relaxed consciousness. And in this relaxed state of consciousness, that makes way for vivid imagery to come forward, and creativity, and ideas, and insight. You begin to touch that deeper part of yourself, that subconscious mind. You remember the story of when Jesus fed over 5,000 people with just 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish? And you know those loaves of bread weren't like the loaves of bread that we get from Fry's grocery store. They were probably biscuits like a little boy would have in his lunch. I had a lot of fish and chips the last couple weeks, and that's not hardly a lunch. But as the story goes, Jesus directed the people, all 5,000 people, to sit on the grass. What's that do to you when you sit on the grass? Yeah, remember that story, Grounded, that we saw for our spiritual film festival? Kind of grounds you to the earth plane, connects you to that earth energy. And then it says that he took what he had and he looked up and he gave thanks. He expressed gratitude, and then he began to break the bread. So we lift our vision above the material earth plane. We elevate our spiritual vision up to that level, that sacred place of the Most High. And we're not just lifting our eyes, we're lifting our thoughts, we're lifting our feelings, we're beginning to live upwardly. So we exalt our feelings and our thoughts out of the worldly cares and concern. We let go of the customary, even conventional attitudes, and an upward movement begins. It's as if we're grabbing hold of a balloon that lifts us into an ascended attitude. Love, praise, and gratitude rise up from our hearts and our minds, regardless of uncomfortable or chaotic appearances in our lives or in the world. We begin to live upwardly. We indulge our thoughts and our feelings in these ascended attitudes of love, praise, and gratitude. And we begin to live upwardly towards the level of the Christ. Love, praise, and gratitude become our way of life. And these thoughts and feelings go out from us, touching everyone with love, praise, and gratitude, and we're all lifted up. Are you ready to live upwardly? Are you ready to take on an ascended attitude? I love you all, and I praise each one of you, and I am so grateful for each one of you. Thank you. So we're going to go into a time of contemplation, just to think on these things. If you want to become comfortable, I always like to put both feet on the ground, just to kind of ground myself. Feel comfortable in your chair. Take a few deep breaths. If you can, just kind of loosen, relax the top of your head, the forehead, the temples, relaxing the jaw. This magnificent, miraculous framework of vibrational energies within us, our thoughts, our feelings, our intentions, our desires, are very powerful. They help us to remember that we are connected. That we are always together. My thoughts about you, my feelings about you, your thoughts, your feelings about me. They never die. Those thoughts of love that we send out have an effect. Those thoughts of peace. And in some imperceptible way, we're being affected by those thoughts and feelings of peace and love and joy coming our way. So right now, just take a minute, just in your mind's eye, to send out thoughts and feelings of love, gratitude, and praise. And breathe in that connection. Breathe in that peace. Knowing that all God is expressing right here, right now, through your thoughts and your feelings. It's very powerful, very miraculous. We say, thank you, God. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, life. And when you're comfortable, you can come back to the room. Here come the lights.